In the life of a boxer, this is what I do every day. So we're gonna be going into my life a little bit, in training camp.
All right.
Is that this guy's actually working with Anthony Joshua, and he was.
So what we're doing is right here is about to get into the 3 key factors in developing the body. And this is what you should know before you even start working with athletes if they are competitive. And it wouldn't be a bad idea if you knew how to do this, even if your athletes or human beings that you're working with are not competitive, because the body is a very, very precious temple. And the more you know about it, the better off you can operate as a trainer. And if you're an athlete competing, the more you know about it, the more you'll understand how to listen to your body. So, this is exactly what we're going to get into. We're going to discuss the 3 factors and the actual categories of training the human body before you even start on day one. These things should be intact. So that's what we're going to get into today. So hopefully you guys are ready to get it in. But before we get started, I like to introduce myself to those of you who've never watched this channel. Shame on you. Boy, you're late to the dance. My name is Eric A. Bradley, coach that is, and we teach boxing. But what we're going to do today is really get really in depth with giving you the premise of starting. Like, you get to feel what it feels like on day one when you're going in there fully equipped for battle. So I'm truly looking forward to sharing this information that I've learned over the past 4 decades, really 5, because I really got really vested into the art and science of the human body at a very young age. So hopefully you got your pen and pad. This will help you immensely. And we're going to dive right in. Soon as I give a thank you to our sponsors, they keep the lights on, they keep the cameras running, they keep the mics sharp. And for that, we have to give special thanks to Jab Juice Consultants, social media strategists that are all about helping you build your personal brands so that your company can expand and go in the direction that you always wanted to. You wanted to feel special. Well, get the microphones and get the amplifiers behind your name so that you can get the word out about how amazing that service or product that you have is. And it's all about first building the infrastructure of who you are as a person first, and then letting everybody just fall in love with that character that you portray. And that's the blueprint of your brand. And that's Jab Juice Consultants, jabjuice.com. Holler at your man. All right, here we go. Back to the topic at hand. As we get into the conversations, what we're going to do is talk about the first of all the 3 factors. And an organization is very important. And I like to make it very clear. We're going to get into a couple of questions that some people have had a little bit later on in the show. So this is just not a fly by night show. I mean, we are really crafted it so that you can benefit greatly from it. So as I amplify things up, I'm going to first pull up the 3 factors so you're clear. First of all, here are the 3 areas in the fields of study that you really need to understand come into play before you even open up those gym doors and say, I want to start receiving people. You want to have these individuals in place. And the reason why that is because when you get a person in front of you, you don't want to do a lot of guessing. You don't want to actually use them as your guinea pig. So how do you prevent from having to do that? You have people with the field of study. First, you want someone who's very versed in anatomy. And I'll define what each one means after I kind of walk through this with you. Anatomy is important for anyone who's working one-on-one with anybody on the planet. It doesn't matter. You have to know the pros and cons of knowing how to work with a person and not knowing, because there's just tremendous deficits that you can run into if you do not understand anatomy. All right. The next thing You want this person in your under your banner, under your roof, to understand the science of kinesiology. Kinesiology is the next factor, right? And you want someone who's versed in it. Now, some kid just coming out of school, you want to give them an apprenticeship. Like I did an apprenticeship for like 15 years, only because it was highest level. And so once you get done there, then you need a dietitian. And the 3 reasons why is because those factors are: 1, the structure. That's anatomy. It's the structure of the human body. So to be able to identify someone's actual structure is super duper relevant when you are dealing with someone trying to take what they are and where they were to that next tier. All of the things have to be in line, because what happens if it's not, you'll take a deficit in another area. So when you think you're getting better because you're trained in one way, you're actually going down, and you have to add those points. It's like a credit score. So have the understanding of what this is all about. And then consumption is your dietitian. The dietitian obviously is the person that knows how to fuel this individual. And that individual must go through phases. And guess what? Our objective is to simplify this all so it's not confusing, that it just lands on your ear the right way. And here's just what it looks like when you're going through the first phases of this. Let's talk specifically about having your head in the right place. An athlete's mind, once you get them to a point where you're training on a regular basis, here's a little segment that I would love for you guys to take 1 second and listen to. It may last 60 seconds, so be patient. If you're about learning, then this is going to do you justice. But this is the great Michael Jordan on the essence of knowing how to operate in these trial scenarios. Sorry.
So literally yesterday, I watched Anthony Joshua.
Already forgotten. For here was another secret to the spell Michael had held over the rest of the league ever since his first championship. Even when the Bulls weren't superior physically, they had a philosophical edge.
I think Phil had a lot to do with that, with his Zen practice, his whole emotional approach to a game of basketball. I've experienced a lot of different coaches, but he gave me the understanding about life in a whole different frame. I think his teachings, or the understanding of Zen Buddhism, is how you view yourself to deal with the realities of life surrounding you, and somehow be able to correlate that to a simple game as basketball.
This is something that we talked about a lot as a basketball team, is about how to be in the moment, being able to visualize what might happen in those times. Michael so embraced this, and I think that was the beauty of his game, is that he had all these abilities to adjust, not force his own predetermined idea, but allow those things to come together for his game.
And
He had to allow all of those things to visualize. He visualized what he needed to come to fruition for his game. Now, you don't think that that has something to do with him overcoming the worst adversities, having the flu, overcoming a broken foot, or was it a knee in his second season? These little things mentally take you to a place, and an athlete, no matter how good of a physical condition that you've gotten them in, if they don't have the mind, then what they are going to run into is roadblocks. And most of the time that trainers don't understand when that's coming. And if you don't understand when it's coming, it's typically going to hit you right when it counts most, when you're fighting for something greater. And with that being the topic of discussion, we have to make sure that we do understand the actual progressive testing that these athletes have to go through before you place them in battle. And this is on any level. Every sport has this. There's sports psychiatrists and psychologists in every profession, even collegiately. And because it's so much more and pressure, especially in this time of the age of social media. In the age of social media, having the athletes exposed and having them in positions where they're always having putting a mic in front of themselves and they always have to say the right thing or else it's a powerful thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip directly from there and we're going to show you a little bit of what is it that goes directly into the actual consumption. How do you digest? Think about this. If you go into things thinking about it as if you're just taking a spin through the store, then guess what's going to happen? That's exactly what your product's going to come out like. But when you think through things and you really button every layer up, and then when you're ready and you have the psychological testing checked as well, if that box is also checked, then you're in a much better place. So let's take a look at.
All right, so first thing we do in the morning, used to get started with shadow boxing. I'll give him a tea of the day. Today we're going to be doing some rosemary tea. The purpose behind this is as he's getting his shadow boxing done, he can drink his tea while he's doing that. So what's happening is internally his body starts getting warmer and warmer, so it'll actually help him build or burn a little bit more calories. Three ingredients: avocado, good healthy fats. We're gonna add some lemon. We're gonna add some everything seasoned bagel, and we're just gonna blend it all in. Put it on a piece of toast. We're gonna add some egg. We're gonna add some turkey ham, and we're gonna roast some tomatoes, give some good flavor.
Dogs don't eat first.
I eat it right now because it's gonna get cold.
Hey, remember, dogs don't eat first.
Cool down for a little bit.
It's good, man. I think he did turkey instead of ham. It's cool.
Out of respect for the other fighter, I know you probably don't want to talk about it, but sent a guy to the hospital the other day.
No, I'll talk about it. I broke a man's jaw with one punch with the headgear on. One side of his jaw was up, the other one was down. I haven't really been talking about it because, like, I'm just gonna show it in the ring. I want you.
Boom. So what you put in your body has everything to do with the outcome and the product that you're going to take to the ring that night or whatever sport you're operating from. These are important things to know. You have to realize that dietitians play such a role. And in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to address one of the questions that our viewers have put into the circle, and I want to address anything and concerns that you guys have because you're responsible for another human being's life and well-being. So what we want to do is make sure that you have all of the data so you can make the best decisions, because what we are finding is, even visiting one of the most popular gyms in the United States of America yesterday, I found a lot of things, and I found that people are kind of in their own way, and it's more everybody has what they have. They have what they've learned. And a lot of people are more defiant in the area of physical training. So you can see that on the trainer. One of the most important things is where physically what you specialize in. So if you're a person that's all about active muscle, you're going to be fluid. You're going to look more like a dancer or a wide receiver or someone who does a lot of yoga. Active muscle in motion. We call it kinematics of human motion. And when I define kinesiology, it's about the movement. Understanding movement is extremely important. So if you have someone with a strong weightlifting background and they are working with an athlete that needs fluidity, a wide receiver, someone who's fluid, and a boxer, someone who needs agile muscle, then it's not the best pair to merge together. When a guy's versed in weight training, I'm gonna give you an example. Years ago, I lifted weights and I was very bulky. So therefore, if I'm an expert in that, I can't be an expert in another area because these careers are people with degrees, kinesiology, anatomy, dietitian. Like you can't pretend to be these people because their field of study. That means they're not guessing on Instagram. They are learning this. They've been educated, they've been tested, exams, quarter after quarter, semester after semester for 4 years minimal. You have to respect their knowledge. They have more knowledge in one hand than you possess about that topic in your entire body. So you have to respect what roles they play. Hence is one of the main reasons we made sure that giving you guys the right knowledge about what it is, but we also gave you a place where that knowledge resides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play like a 2 minutes. So bear with us if you want to learn a little more. And this is a conversation that I just recently had. I'm not here to put any shade on any of the athletes and the trainers that are working hard. What we are here to do, so that you know our motive is to aid you and to make sure that you have all of the tools. Because once, like I said, when I took my trip into one of the most popular gyms in the world yesterday, what I was there doing is making sure that we had athletes, coaches, in the right place doing the right thing. And they were avid, literally elated from all of the positive knowledge that they received from our training system. So what I want to do now is share a little bit of what goes into this. This right here is kind of breaking down what we have in one of our universities. And it really gives you full insight. And think about this. How good would you be if you had everything equipped in your hand? How much better would you be right now if you had the opportunity to have this in possession? Listen.
Gotcha,
This
coach. Yes.
is
That's
what you
yes.
got access to now.
Yeah, I got you, coach. That's why when I saw one of your videos, you said there's I don't remember specifically. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 different styles of defense.
5 layers.
Five layers. Okay. And I was like, okay, because everything's just like your guard or the.
You understand that you just don't stick your arms out.
Yeah,
you get
you
your
get
head
that
knocked
overhead.
off. Yeah, and see, you don't know these things until you're working with these real world-class guys, and you're saying, okay, and toe touches, max liberty to learn, that there are things out here. And most coaches, they just think what they know is going to be enough. But this right here, this is our champion. This is top trainer. So this is all of your fundamentals. Then your training, injury prevention stuff, hand wrapping, max PT. You need to know max PT. It'll be your fighter's best friend. The abdominal training system, not just sit-ups and toe touches, real methods of training the human body, right? And then all the stuff, footwork fundamentals, punch logistics, slips, everything. That's top trainer. You want to become the world's best trainer? Never have to think about what you're going to do in training. That's a good place to start. And then you can coach much better when you ain't got to think about what you're going to do with the guy. You will be 10 times better immediately. And that is really when you have all of these layers are all in one place. How many times have you gotten up and you didn't have your plan for that day, but you're working with somebody that you really think a lot of? You know, inside of the gym, there were titleists, people who were champions currently, and there are people who are on the way to that. And all you could see is the trainers are working so hard to work with the person that they were with. And in the same time, how many of you, when you know that other person's coming, you're thinking about what am I going to do with them today? But you got to think about this. What is that other person that you're working with thinking? And so with that being said, they know that something's not flowing. I do want you to know that, because we, of course, are the most visible out here. There are like 3 or 4 of us that are very visible, and people see it and they know where they have holes. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that we fill those holes. Those are the roles that you take, and you decide that you're going to help people or not, because most people wonder, why do you show people all of this stuff that you know? Because one day I won't be here, and guess what? It doesn't do me any good 6 feet under the ground, but it does work here in someone else's head and in someone else's hand. And that means there will be another athlete that does not have to suffer because the individuals were ill prepared. Now, when you see this all buttoned up, it looks like that. All of these, your nutrition is in the right place, right there in front of you. So you can make suggestions to your athlete. You don't have to be their dietitian, but now you got a point of reference. And this was created in the University of North Carolina. One of their dietitians, one of the top of the class, aided in the production of this meal plan, this system, education. All right. Everybody who knows me knows my medical background. So, anatomy and kinesiology, study the science of the kinematics of human motion. I have a bevy of studies under my belt, and I understood how important it would be. And not only that, you get the opportunity to now see what it looks like when you got a seriously diversified process in place. Now, how much better would you be if you were all the way buttoned up? Have you thought about that? I mean, I don't know who you are, but I do know this. If you're listening now, you're listening because there's an area that you want to fix. And knowing this information right here, you have to look at it, right? And then I'm going to show you another little something that you'll need to understand about movement, because movement isn't all about physical developing muscles and stuff like that, but it is about development of the way that the body operates. You get what I'm saying? So when you are talking about physical development, there are different ways that looks. And so what I'm going to show you is, how do you go about doing this? Because kinematics of human motion is something that you need. And we made sure that kind of stuff was directly in front of you. So listen to this. And this clip will take about maybe 2.5 minutes. It's so well worth it because it's so informative, especially if you're in a contact sport, because this is the nooks and crannies of it all. So listen to this.
I saw him with him on his back performing this stretch. So it's one thing doing it with the welterweight world champion, but doing it with a heavyweight as well. Incredible. This is basically trying to improve that thoracic extension of the spine, which a lot of boxers struggle with because they're quite rounded in their posture just due to their boxing stance and guard position, but also due to the anterior dominance of the sport. They're throwing thousands of punches every single session, maybe even 10,000 punches across a week. They're quite tight in thoracic extension, they're quite kyphotic, and this can result in shoulder injuries. This is why shoulders and upper limb injuries are the most problematic areas for boxing. So this stretch here, fantastic for any boxer. However, it's quite hard to do this yourself. or to find somebody willing and able to stretch you out like this. So there's a few different drills that you can do to help improve thoracic extension, such as quadruped press, quadruped extensions, thoracic extensions on the foam roller. Probably start off with these first before seeking out a therapist. This is a fantastic move and showing really impressive strength for overheads.
These are the little things that most of the time you don't really see, but in high level boxing, you'll see these kind of things. And that's why you have to understand how to recruit people for your facility. Now, it's okay, because I know that a lot of you now realize, I haven't thought about bringing one of these kind of people in. But if you're going to work with high level boxers or athletes on any competitive level, what you want to do, and even if you're someone that's training at home, you take these exact same principles and you stick those in. So what we decided to do, what made the most sense was, I can't give individuals my actual internal knowledge, but what I can do is I can regurgitate this knowledge and put it directly in front of them like this, whole brain, put it in front of you like this, so that you can really take it in and not have to know it. You don't have to master it now. You just need to see it, so you'll know what to do. And if it's someone from an additional field comes in, you say, hey, this is a process that we're following. This is Top Trainer U. This is inside of the School of Boxing, and knowing how your athlete should eat, having the actual guideline to what that athlete should eat, and all of the data behind it. Someone's already done that for you. That book and that system is almost 20 years old. It's almost 20 years old. And the science is timeless. We've never had to alter it, and we've never had someone say, oh, it didn't work. It's the process of the human body. See, we don't infuse our own purpose. I don't want to make it. I got to make it mine. No. How does the human body work? All right, let's stay there. The vessel that was created, not trying to make someone do something that we want you to do, but what does the human body need? And you can argue anything else outside of that, but there's a reason why it's almost 2 decades old. I'd say 15 years, and it's not had to be altered. Not once. So once you know how to do that, guess what else comes into play? Down that physical part of it, where you now know what to do. You should be able to identify. You should be able to identify when a person walks in, because this is one of the things that I do well when it comes down to their anatomy. If you're going to compete against somebody, and I can look at those individuals and tell you, are you sure you want to go up against that person? Because they look a certain way, but you're not paying attention, clavicular area or the lower spine, because these are where the hidden powers are, not in the skinny arms or the skinny torso. If you go back to Diego Corrales, skinny, slanky, and knocking guys out, you got to understand what you're looking at. Understand the wrists, understand the elbows, understand the shoulder girdle. If you don't understand these things, you need experts. That means people who are versed in anatomy. Remember that at the very beginning, the 3 factors that come into play right there: anatomy, kinesiology, and dietitian. These are the people that roll and reign supreme. So with that being said, you close this out, and knowing just how to eat, how to get the mind in the right place, how to get the body, identify the body first. Keep this in mind. You have to know and understand the kind of ungoloid that you're up against based on how they look. Like, I'm someone who has extremely long arms, shorter in the torso, explosive, powerful legs, and heavy hands. So You can look and say, oh, it's lean guy, looks like a cornerback or, welterweight or junior middle. But when you get in there, it's different. It's like, oh, you like a light heavyweight. So you got to understand what dynamics you're dealing with when you're dealing with a person, especially for those who are in particular weight classes, and they, like Manny Pacquiao, always have been underestimated based on his stature. Tank Davis, why do you think there are guys who are 5'5" that can knock your block off and you could drink a cup of coffee off of the top of their heads while you're standing up? It has nothing to do with what their anatomy gives them to do to you. So you have to be careful about this. But what will happen if you are able to have order in your life and you're actually following it? Experts in each one of the fields. So I just want you all to pay close attention to how much better you will be. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's take one of the questions. Because if you do have questions, make sure you leave them in the comment boxes and we'll catch it on the next show. Because the reality is, I do want you all to have a takeaway like, dang, this was really helpful to me to figure out how I need my operation to run. And that's my job, is to make you feel like you're learning something that will benefit you greatly and that you will never need to. That's one of the things that's so unique about the process and the system. We never have to change it. We have an entire dictionary over here to add anything to whatever might need to be added, but we never have to move off of this. Every day the training system is timeless and it solves all problems. See, a program achieves a goal, but a system is the solution to all problems that you will face. That's why Apple is $1 trillion company. Amazon's $1 trillion company, because they can solve all your problems. They fix their products, do it all. They do it all. Health, emergency, social, everything. Like, they don't have a one-trick pony, like the dial-up phones. These are real phones. These are real, actual computers. These are AI at its finest. So this is kind of what a system is. It serves the entire purpose. And guess what else it does? It simplifies your life 1000%. So all of the anxiety and the stress of figuring it out, you can work with 10 world-class athletes back to back and not bat an eye, because you don't have to think about what you need to do. How good would you be if that was you? That's the main reason you see us out here saying type school, because the reality is you got to, if you want to be at the higher levels of training, teaching, developing human beings, building a reputation that is insurmountable, uncomputable. No one is going to doubt what you're capable of doing. So let me pop this question up. Is this the question? How close to fight weight should a fighter stay on on a day-to-day basis? Great question. 3 quick things I have to say before you go. First of all, thanks for taking the time to watch us. Number 2, if you found this information beneficial and you feel like information like this could truly move you along your path, then all of our replays could be found over in our Instagram subscription portal and over on our Facebook subscriptions. And number 3, if your business has hit a wall and you like to have it looked at by a professional to see what moves would be beneficial for you, then make sure you put our name in a hat at jabjuice.com and schedule a call. And I'll see you tomorrow. So long.